Over the last 30 years, Adam Sandler has starred in over 40 movies, and out of all of them, Pixels is absolutely his magnum opus. When I first saw Pixels, I was genuinely blown away by how great it was, only to watch the 2015 internet completely tear it apart. I watched negative take after negative take on the movie Pixels, and now that I'm more mature, I can firmly say that all of them are dead wrong. Pixels is amazing. Critics say it's bad because 1, they haters, and 2, because Adam Sandler films tend to follow a strict formula, so if you're looking for challenges to the form of cinema, you're in the wrong place. Now, as the ultimate Adam Sandler fan, who has seen all of these movies, I'd like to think I can explain the formula quite well, and I'm going to do so in a new one-off segment I'm calling Adam Sandler movies typically open with him as a happy child, only to cut to him being a miserable and/or childish adult that may or may not have a purposely annoying voice. He goes on an adventure, but it has to be to a tropical location so that Adam Sandler can write off his holidays as a work expense. With the help of his real-life friends, Kevin James, Rob Schneider, Steve Buscemi, and all these fellas, he's able to win the heart of an unrealistically attractive woman, usually Drew Barrymore, and stand up to the pretentious jerks who stood in his way, getting everything he wanted in the process. Everything, that is, except a decent rating on IMDb, because there are some things even Adam Sandler can't do. Oh yeah, and all of them are filled with product placement and mention basketball at least once. Now, contrary to popular belief, this formula can create some pretty funny movies, but quite a few legitimately terrible films as well. But Pixels isn't one of those. Pixels stars my personal lifelong hero, Adam Sandler, who, after losing a video game contest as a 13-year-old, becomes a massive nerd. That's when aliens come down from space disguised as arcade games, and only the nerdiest arcaders can put a stop to them and save the world. And just to clarify, I'm gonna call all of them by their actors' names, cause like, do you really think I'm gonna call the icon that is Adam Sandler something as boring as Sam Brenner, or Lenny Feder, or Nick Spitz? I think the movies are aware that I do this, because they keep reinforcing the name of the main character in the movie's title. It doesn't matter how hard you guys try, I will always call any Adam Sandler character Adam Sandler. One of these arcaders is Adam Sandler's childhood best friend, Kevin James, who is the President of America. People seem to hate this casting, but I think it's funny because I'm stupid. Kevin James is known for starring in admittedly terrible movies, except Paul Blart Mall Cop. I really love Paul Blart Mall Cop. The casting works because he's possibly the worst person to be president. Another one of the arcaders is Peter Dinklage, who plays the Fire Blaster, and he's great as always. It's funny just to see such a serious actor in such a cartoonish role. Then there's Adam Sandler's love interest, whose name I don't remember, and also Josh Gad, who is also great casting, because his familiarity with musical theatre and voice acting make him perfect for this over-the-top cartoon movie. Oddly enough, the weakest link in the cast is Adam Sandler himself, as he seems bored half the time, but the rest of the actors really give it their all, elevating what could be a forgettable script into comedy gold. Most of Sandler's work feels the need to cram in the same big guest stars over and over again, but Pixels shows an uncharacteristic restraint in this regard, especially by ignoring well-known talentless hack Rob Schneider, who unlike Sandler and James, hasn't made a single film that I would recommend. Retro, have you considered that perhaps by constantly purchasing Adam Sandler films, you're financially encouraging the production of unremarkable pictures and removing the incentive to make legitimately impactful cinema, causing the industry to become increasingly complacent? Well... Shut up, at least I don't make up my own nicknames, Burnham. Who cares who came up with it? It's totally tubular. Besides, you need to clear off in a few minutes because I rented the building out to a film crew. Did you really have to schedule that for today? Yes, what's so important about Pixels anyway? Look, if you just go into it knowing you're watching a pure comedy like I did when I first saw it, I think it's not just a great movie, but Adam Sandler's magnum opus. Picture this. The year is summer 2015, and the new Adam Sandler film is out. Barry, it's open!
It's open?
Come on!
Hey! Give me back my quarters, you ogres!
Wow! This is even awesomer than I thought it would be!
It's alright, I guess. I think you kind of overhyped it.
This is nothing. Just wait until we get to the screen rooms. 2 tickets for Pixels, please.
Ah, I'm sorry, kids. This movie's a 12A, so you can't see it. It's a shame, too. I've seen this movie and it's really good. You guys are missing out.
Wow, what a dickhead.
I guess it's not that bad. We could always just talk for a few hours.
Nope, we're not doing that.
Retro, I don't want to do this.
Dude, don't be lame. This movie's gonna be totally worth sneaking in for. Look man, you don't have to come if you don't want to, but trust me, once the movie starts playing, you're gonna be hooked. It's kinda like you're locking yourself in another time entirely, where all your real problems mean nothing as your mind is lost in the screen.
Wow. Retro, that was deep. You know what? Let's do it.
Good casting is nothing if you don't have a good script, and Pixels has exactly that. The dialogue in Pixels is unlike anything I've ever seen in any movie ever, arguably for the worse. Nobody, and I mean literally nobody, not a single character talks like a normal human being, and even if that doesn't make it objectively good or natural dialogue, it certainly makes it memorable and therefore, to me at least, entertaining. Adam Sandler, for example, does this thing where he makes pop culture references and witty comments to himself with extreme enthusiasm. Not only are his comments so unnecessary and out of place that they subjectively make me laugh, but they also establish his character really well. He's presented as this weirdo who doesn't care what anyone thinks and would rather live in his own little world, juxtaposing all of the uptight government douchebags. All the dialogue with his love interest is great too. They lack any subtlety, and in any other movie this would be a flaw, as there's no subtext in any of the dialogue, but because Pixels is a comedy, their general lack of shame provides some great laughs. Then there's the soundtrack. Normally, I ignore a film's soundtrack when analysing its quality as a film because I usually see the licensed music as their own separate works of art, but Pixel's soundtrack is the GOAT. The movie opens with Surrender by Cheap Trick, the first battle is done with Everybody's Working for the Weekend by Loverboy, and there's a scene where Josh Gad sings Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Best of all, during the opening arcade battle, they play We Will Rock You, which was like my favourite song when I was a kid. In fact, all the non-diegetic songs, except for that really bad one in the end credits, are all from before 1982, helping establish the 80s aesthetic, doing something similar to Stranger Things or Guardians of the Galaxy. Man, weren't the 80s just the best decade to be alive?
Pixels. I know, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Oh, you know about Pixels?
Of course I know, I was in it. Hi, I'm Adam Sandler.
No way! What are you doing here?
Oh, I'm filming a beer commercial.
I love all your movies. Here's my ranking of them in descending order. Uncut Gems, Pixels, Happy Gilmore.
To be honest, son, I don't care. I didn't think anybody actually liked that crap. If you want, you can come over to my mansion and I can show you some real movies.
Wait, seriously?
What do you think? My mansion is 1980s themed. Wasn't the 1980s just the best time to be alive?
Yeah, it's nice. What the hell is that?
Oh yeah, that's the shrine to my best friend, Chris Farley. He died a few decades ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's whatever. You want to get drunk, play Donkey Kong and listen to Rush?
Wow, just like when I was a kid. This reminds me, Pixels has some pretty interesting cinematography. I mean, why wouldn't it? It was directed by Chris Columbus, who also directed the first two Harry Potters and the first two Home Alone movies, and he had a clear visual aesthetic in mind for the entire film. Take a look at these shots. I love how they overlay Donkey Kong footage over the screen that goes from in front to behind the people. You have no idea how hard this is to do. But it's great because the box around the two of them not only frames the characters, but also emphasizes Adam's feelings of fear and tension over the game by isolating him to visually indicate the video game's overwhelming effect, quickly helping us empathize with him. The opening as a whole is almost perfect in my opinion. A worse version of this film would have introduced the pixel aesthetic after the alien invasion when it becomes plot relevant, but Pixels establishes its aesthetic in the very first shot, giving the whole film a distinct look throughout. In the first scene, not only is all the text pixelated, but the general setup seems very similar to the game Paperboy, likely as an intentional reference. The aliens themselves are never seen, except from this quick uncanny glimpse, but their soldiers are depicted created in 3D pixel art, and even the end credits recreates all the movie's best scenes with pixel art. Overall, it seems like the writers were genuinely passionate about video games. Yeah, they make obvious references to Space Invaders and Pac-Man and whatever, but the plot revolves around Lady Lisa from Dojo Quest, which is a surprisingly obscure reference. This makes me think that at least some people involved were really passionate about video games from the 80s.
Hey Retro, you should talk about all of the scenes where I played video games!
Okay, wait, why?
Well, when I was a kid, I was only really great at two things: basketball and video games. And with Pixels, I used the movie as an excuse to play a bunch of video games and relive what it was like to be a kid. Those scenes were really the only reason I made that film. Isn't nostalgia great?
What's my name? Dunkachino. It's a whole new game.
Well, Pixels also has some genuinely tense, funny, and kick-ass battle scenes. There's 3 really huge ones. The centipede one is fantastic due to all the build-up. The strength of the aliens has been shown twice beforehand, making them seem nearly impossible to beat. Now, if you were paying attention to the start of the movie, when they were playing arcade games, you would have heard a track like this. I can't play much of it because it's copyrighted, but then, when Adam takes charge at the centipede fight later on, we hear this. For those who don't know, this is called a leitmotif, a piece of music that's used to represent a character or idea. In this case, it represents winning at video games, subconsciously reminding us that the reason Adam Sandler is better than the entire US military is because he was in a video game competition as a kid. Then there's the Pac-Man fight, which increases the tension by getting rid of the arcaders one by one until only Adam remains. The audience isn't told what Adam's plan to beat Pac-Man is, and this is reflected in the music. What they've done here is remove the conclusive ending by shifting its key in the last few notes. I think maybe, I'll be real, I don't know anything about music. But unlike earlier, this reflects the uncertainty the audience is meant to feel to whether Adam's plan will succeed. Then there's the Donkey Kong fight. Remember earlier when I said the arcade scene is scored by a remix of Queen's We Will Rock You? Well, this final fight with a real Donkey Kong is scored to the same remix, giving the whole film a satisfying circular structure. Unfortunately, I can't play it because it's copyrighted, and there's no way to get around something like that. Unless I did a whole cover of it, but I don't know how to do that. The real question is, do I have anything bad to say about Pixels? And the answer to that is, no, it's a perfect movie. Okay, if I must criticize one thing, after watching this film at least 10 times, I must admit there are a few plot holes. Like, the movie reveals that Peter Dinklage cheated on the arcade games with cheat codes, and that he used the same cheat codes in the real world. This doesn't make any sense, as where would he enter a cheat code designed for an arcade game into a real car? The only logical assumption is that there's a keypad built into the car that we're never shown, but then why did they build those keypads into the car if nobody wanted him to cheat? I've thought about this every night for the last 9 years. It wouldn't be so bad if the movie didn't rely so much on this. They could have solved it so easily as well. What if Adam's love interest explained that they built a keypad for them to enter cheat codes into as a last resort, only for Adam Sandler to call out the military for misunderstanding the point of the game? In 2 lines, this would have solved the plot hole and reinforced the conflict between Adam and his love interest. Also, I think it's dumb that Cuba turns into Lady Lisa at the end. Why not just make Lady Lisa the 3rd trophy? That would make so much more sense with the lore they've established. Perhaps the biggest loser ending up with the prettiest girl despite all logic is a self-aware meta-commentary on how every Adam Sandler movie creates unrealistic relationships where Adam Sandler ends up with an attractive woman, and this movie pushes that cliche to the most absurd possible extreme where the plot breaks down almost entirely just for the forced romance to happen. Or maybe it's just bad writing. After much thought, I'd place Pixels here on my ranking. Yeah, above The Matrix. I want to act like I have an objective justification for this, but I don't, and I'm starting to think I never did. I'd just rather watch Pixels, that's it. Well, Adam, this was fun, but I should probably go.
You can't just leave. You haven't seen the best part of my house.
Look, this is gonna sound mean, but like, I'm kinda sick of you. Like, it was fun at first, but we've been doing this for so long, it's getting repetitive.
Trust me, this is the last thing. You'll love it.
Whoa, this is amazing.
Of course it is. It's where I filmed the final battle for Pixels, but it's also a time machine. I just had to use it for a movie so I could write it off my taxes. With this, we can trap the whole world between the years 1980 and 1989 for the rest of time! Isn't that great?
Adam, don't you think that's a bit much?
Seriously? Just to clarify, spending every day reliving your favorite movies is normal, but actually taking the initiative to go back to that time is crossing the line?
Yeah, obviously. Are you insane?
Alright, well, you know too much, so I guess I'll have to kill you.
Whoa! You just went from 0 to Psycho in 3.4 seconds, a new world record.
Look, Retro, I decided it was no fun to kill you, so I'm forcing you to play Donkey Kong. If you win, you get to leave, but if you lose, you're stuck in the 1980s, and the only other person left who knows what Pixels is knows just how bad it truly is.
You're crazy!
Hope you know the patterns, Retro.
But I don't know the patterns, Sandler. I have a life.
You? A life? You spend all your time talking about old movies on the internet. You have no life, Retro.
You know what, Adam? You're right. I am wasting my life making complete garbage that nobody but me cares about. I mean, Pixels came out in 2015. Who would want to watch a video about it in 2024? And I probably only like Pixels because of entirely subjective reasons anyway. I found all of this evidence to justify why I love it, when I should just enjoy the things I like and stop looking at the internet for validation. And after talking to you, I'm starting to think it's lame to spend all of my time redoing the same crap year after year. Look, I know it's hard to lose the past. You'll always cherish those times playing games and watching movies, especially when you lost the people who made those things so important to you. But at some point, we have to try new things and try our best to live in the present. Otherwise, nothing's gonna change, and we'll stay this miserable forever. I love you, Adam. Your movies had an overwhelmingly positive impact on my life. So I believe that together, we can move on to a better future. What do you say?
Wow, Retro. I guess we'll have to agree to disagree on this. The plan continues as planned.
Oh, screw you! You know what? Reset button.
Not so fast, Retro. Right here, I have the cheat codes for Donkey Kong.
Oh, you wouldn't.
Oh, yes, I would. Looks like it's game over for you, Retro.
No. This is just level 1!
What the? Where do I enter the codes into? Oh, no!
Congratulations. On coming in second! So that's why Pixels is peak cinema.
Seriously? That sucked. You only liked it because you enjoyed sneaking into the cinema.
Well, maybe it isn't the best film ever, but I still liked it.
My mom says that when you look back on your life, you don't remember what happened in movies, just how they made you feel.
Your mum is such a loser. If I ever talk about old stuff like that, feel free to shoot me in the head.
Do you feel me? Do you feel me, sailor? You beautiful Nubian man. You gorgeous specimen of what God can make. Do you feel me?
I think you're about to feel me.